Hello and welcome to today's Wednesday webinar. I know people are going to be logging in here shortly, but we'll get started just to be respectful of your time. My name is Lupe Hernandez and I'm a Student Success Advisor with ICANN. If you're not familiar with ICANN, we are a nonprofit organization. We help students with their plans for post-secondary life. All of our services are at no cost to you, the parent, the student, your high school. So keep us in mind as you are going through this process of planning for post-secondary education. We are here to assist in any way that we can. We do offer appointments either in person, depending on where you live, and we also offer virtual appointments through Zoom. And just a heads up to anyone who is a student for the class of 2024, or if you're a parent of a student for class of 2024, if you would like us to assist you with the FAFSA form, the financial aid application form, we are taking appointments for that right now. And so if you want assistance with that application, we are more than happy to help you. You can schedule an appointment by going to our website, which is listed here, or calling our phone number, which is also listed here as well. And I'll show it to you at the end of the presentation as well. All right. I do want to mention that we have several publications on our website. If you have been to some of our in-person presentations, you might have gotten these already, but if not, I do invite you to visit our website. Again, it's listed at the top here. The Life After High School Planning Guide. This is a career and college planning guide for sophomores and juniors. Seniors will benefit from this as well. And then also the How to Pay for College guide as well. This one would be targeting high school seniors class of 2024. You'll also be able to find other publications that we have, including our Countdown to College calendar. So again, I invite you to go to our website and kind of check out our PDF versions of our publications. All right, just a quick overview of what I'm going to go over with you today. I'm just going to briefly discuss the FAFSA, the free application for federal student aid. I'm going to go over the types and the sources for scholarships. I'm going to go over the applications as far as what students are going to see when they're applying for scholarships. I'm going to give you some tips on writing an essay. I'm going to discuss letters of recommendation and also activities resumes, and also what to do if a student gets awarded a scholarship. So let's start at the top. First and foremost, what is financial aid? As you guys might have already realized, this is a term that gets thrown around a lot, and we want you to be completely clear as far as what financial aid means. Sometimes people think that financial aid is only loans or it's only scholarships. It's actually made up of four of these things listed here. It's scholarships, grants, loans, work study, and employment when the student is in college. The best type of financial aid, of course, are the top two, because it's free money that you don't have to pay back. You don't have to pay for it. Your student doesn't have to pay for it or borrow loans for it. So that's the best type of aid. The difference between those two, even though it's both free money, is that scholarships are usually awarded based on the student's merit. So it's awarding the student's talents, whether they're a good student academically, they're a good athlete, they're a good singer, they're a good artist. They've been volunteering a lot. So again, scholarships are awarding what the student has done or their talents. Grants are usually awarded either through the federal or state government, and usually family income goes into play if a student qualifies for a grant or not. Loans can be under the student's name or the parent's name, and those do have to be paid back plus interest. And of course, it also includes employment, whether it's on campus or off campus when the student is attending college. So again, when you guys are talking to your college admissions representatives and you guys are discussing financial aid, please make sure that you are aware as far as what type of financial aid is being discussed. So the FAFSA is the free application for federal student aid. It is available fall of senior year. You guys are actually getting some breaking news right now because we got word from federal student aid this afternoon that the FAFSA will become available to file on December 31st. So for the class of 2024, you will be able to file your application starting on December 31st, 2023. if you want assistance with this application, we will be more than happy to do that for you. We will be back from holiday break on January 3rd. So that's when we're starting to take appointments. And I'll be honest with you, we're already pretty booked up. So if you want to schedule an appointment, I do advise that you do that here soon. When filing the FAFSA, you can send the application to multiple colleges. Okay, so up to 20 colleges, actually. A few days ago, I had a conversation with a parent where the student was actually applying to 12, and they were concerned that they couldn't send it to that many schools, and they were actually going to be fine because you can send the application to up to 20 colleges. And if the student applies and gets accepted to these colleges, then the college will come back with a financial offer if they submit the FAFSA form. Please be mindful of priority dates. So the FAFSA usually it becomes available on October 1st to file, but there's big changes coming to financial aid and the application. So it's being pushed back this year to December 31st. With that being said, colleges are also adjusting their priority dates to accommodate this delay, but still be mindful of when your colleges want this application to be completed. I'll give you an example. The three Regent universities, Iowa, Iowa State, and UNI, ideally, they like the application submitted by February 1st. Students who are already in college for those schools, they'd like the application to be turned in by February 29th. So again, if students are looking into other colleges other than the ones that I've mentioned, please contact the financial aid office and just say, hey, when we're aware the application becomes available on the 31st of December, when should we try to get this application completed? And the best piece of advice as far as this application goes is please set up your federal student aid IDs ahead of time. A federal student aid ID is a username and a password that is needed in order to access the application and to submit the application. So the student needs an account and the parent also needs an account as well. And you go and set that up at studentaid.gov. All right, so let's move on to scholarships. So where are the scholarships? I'm gonna go over four sources of scholarships. First is the colleges and the universities that the student is applying to. Then I'm gonna go over some private entities, local entities that offer scholarships, state of Iowa scholarships, and I'm gonna give you an example of some national scholarship websites as well. So let's start with college scholarships. So these are these are scholarships from the college or university where the student is applying to, and there are several ways that students can apply for these. So some of these scholarships are automatic scholarships. So this is where the student applies for admissions. The student will submit their transcripts, maybe their ACT score if it's required. And based on that information, the college will tell the student, if you come to our institution, this is what type of scholarships we could offer you. Okay, so these would be automatic scholarships, and the student would be notified of these scholarships usually when the student gets their acceptance letter. So it's going to say, congratulations, the student's name, you're accepted. You also qualify for this type of money if you come to our school. Another type of another way to apply for these college scholarship is some colleges offer a scholarship database. All right, so once the student applies and gets accepted, the college will give the student a student ID, and then they will be able to access their scholarship database, and then they'll be able to go through the list of scholarships that they could potentially apply for. Another way that students can apply for scholarships through the college is through their foundation. So the college has a foundation where it just takes one application, and whatever, depending on how the students answer questions on that application, it will determine what type of departmental scholarships the student would qualify for. Regardless, please make sure that you are aware of deadlines with automatic scholarships, the scholarship database, the foundation scholarships. All of these types of scholarships have a deadline. And once the student applies and gets accepted, this is when they need to start asking these questions. I'm looking into applying for this scholarship. When does it need to be completed? I'll give you some examples. So Kirkwood, the way they're set up is with a foundation scholarship. So their foundation scholarship is due March 15th. So again, it's one application, and depending on how the student answers those questions, it'll tell the student what type of scholarships they would qualify for. Another example of a way that students can apply is through, for example, Iowa State. They have something called the One App. So similar to the Foundation Scholarship, but this is called the One App, specifically for Iowa State. They fill out this one, again, one application. And again, it kind of just filters the students out as far as how they're answering certain questions on that application. And it'll tell the student, you know, based on your One App, this is what you could potentially qualify for. Another example is through St. Ambrose University. They have a list. They have a list of scholarships on their website. Another college that does this is the University of Iowa. So they have a list that once the student, again, applies and gets accepted, they'll have the opportunity to look through these lists and start kind of sifting through and looking through these scholarships and see which ones they can apply for. Moving on to the private and local scholarships, look at your place of work. Okay, so I'm speaking to the students. Like if you work at a grocery store, for example, if you work at Hy-Vee or Fairway, there's something called the Iowa Grocers Association Scholarship. A few years back, it's been a while, but a few years back, a young lady worked at Wendy's, and Wendy's was offering a scholarship, and she got the Wendy's scholarship. Look at your church, all right, local businesses and local civic groups. So this would be things in your community. I always tell parents, you know, look at who you pay your bills to every month. Companies like MediaCom, Mid-American Energy, Alliant Energy, your bank, local banks have scholarships. I'm just thinking of here where I'm at. I know like Viridian Credit Union has scholarships, Green State Credit Union has scholarships, Hills Bank has scholarships. A Center Credit Union has scholarships. So look at your banks as well. And if you're already a customer, you probably already qualify for that type of money. I'm going to throw out some specific examples of scholarships that private scholarships that you could potentially apply for. So the first one would be the Iowa Farm Bureau. I'm going to move this here. The Iowa Farm Bureau scholarship. So this is a 2,500 renewable scholarship to students who are pursuing 2- or 4-year college degrees in a program in a field that supports rural Iowa. So like education or nursing or ag. So again, you do have to be a member of Farm Bureau, but from what I understand, it's not quite very difficult to become a member of Farm Bureau. So for more information, please visit their website. The deadline for this one is January 31st. I do want to mention if we have anyone who's logged in from the following counties: Davis, Des Moines, Henry, Jefferson, Keokuk, Lee, Louisa, Muscatine, Wapello, Washington, or Van Buren, you have the opportunity to win additional local scholarships through Farm Bureau. So again, contact your local Farm Bureau office and see what scholarships are available for you. Another scholarship, I don't even like to call this one a scholarship because it doesn't require an essay. So this is through ISL Education Lending. So ISL Education Lending is giving away 45 $1,000 deposits into college savings accounts. This one is unique because the student can apply, the college student can apply, and the parent or guardian can apply. So you have a very good chance of potentially getting this college savings deposit that can be used for college. The deadline for this one is coming up. It's the deadline is November 30th, but they will have a second round in the spring. So again, if you sign up for this and you don't get it, you can apply for it again in the spring. So again, no essay required. Parents can register, students can register, current college students can register, and the website listed above is where you can go ahead and enter your name, and hopefully you will be selected. So good luck. Other examples of local scholarships would be, and again, I'm just thinking of my community of where I'm from, local chapters of the American Legion, of the Kiwanis Club, the Rotary Club, the Optimist Club. All of these local entities notify your school counseling office of scholarships that are coming up. So your school counseling office will be a very important source of information for all of these local scholarships, because like I said, all of these scholarship committees are emailing your school counselor and saying, hey, our scholarship is available now, it's due on March 31st. So your students really need to get in the habit of just checking in, or with their school counselor, or checking those emails, checking those text blasts, checking that website, checking their social media, because that's how your school counseling office will notify you of any local scholarships that are becoming available. Moving on to state scholarships. So state scholarships are for students who will be attending college in the state of Iowa. So for those students who are planning to move out of state, they would not qualify for these. So states, excuse me, state scholarships are made up of the Iowa Tuition Grant. So Iowa Tuition Grant is for students who are attending a private college. So if they're applying to any community college or any regent school, that wouldn't qualify for Iowa Tuition Grant. But if they're applying to like Mount Mercy, St. Ambrose, Drake, those would be the type of colleges that if they qualify for it, they would potentially get Iowa Tuition Grant. Another program through the state of Iowa is called the Iowa Vocational Technical Grant. This is for students who are going into a Voc Tech grant, and these are automatic, you guys. So if you do your financial aid form, and if the student qualifies for these programs, it's going to automatically show up on their financial offer. The KIBI grant, or the Iowa Skilled Workforce Tuition Grant, again, certain programs, only certain programs qualify for this grant. So again, if a student qualifies for it, it'll be on the financial offer. Another program that's quite popular is called the Last Dollar Scholarship. Nothing and no additional paperwork has to be done other than the FAFSA. So with this application, with this scholarship, the way it works is that it will cover any funding gap. So once the student applies for the FAFSA and they're applying for additional scholarships, after all of that, if there's still a funding gap, the Last Dollar Scholarship will pay for that remaining cost. So again, no additional paperwork has to be done. Just file the financial aid application in a timely manner. The other scholarship I want to mention is the All Iowa Opportunity Scholarship. This one is a separate application, and it's very easy to file. Usually when I do this application for families, it takes about 3 minutes. It's very basic information. What high school are you graduating from? What colleges are you considering? Name, address, or security number, phone. So to apply, to fill out the application to be considered for all Iowa Opportunity, you want to go to iowacollegeaid.gov. And I'm going to show you some examples of some state funded scholarships. So like I mentioned, the All Iowa Opportunity Scholarship and the Robert D. Blue Scholarship. You can find more information on all of these state of Iowa scholarships, again, by going to iowacollegeaid.gov. I do want to mention that ICANN does have its own scholarship database as well. The website is listed here. I'm actually in charge of it. It will be fully updated by this Friday. So if you go to this website right now, it's out of date. It has deadlines from past spring, but I'm going to be working on this tomorrow and on Friday. So by the end of the day Friday, this will be completely updated, and then I will update it every month from November till the end of May. So keep checking back, because there are some scholarships that haven't set their their scholarship deadlines yet. So keep checking back. And if you sign up for our alerts, our email alerts, our senior alerts, high school senior alerts, I will actually send you an email. I'll send you an email using our emailing system of scholarships that are coming due in the next month. So for example, if you register for the e-alerts, you're going to get an email from me on Monday telling you, hey, these are the scholarships that are coming due in December that are on our scholarship database. Again, that's another free resource that if you're interested, you can sign up for on our website. All right. National scholarships. They're available to everyone. I like national scholarships because there are deadlines year round. versus the local scholarships where usually they become available at the end of December or January, and then they're due in the spring, and then it's done. I like the national scholarships because you can find scholarships that are due January, February, March, April, May, all the way through the summer, all the way through the fall. So it's an ongoing process. I want to give you some examples of some websites where you can go to. These are legit websites. They're not going to scam you. So scholarships.com, fastweb.com, Scholars app, and I actually put that in twice. Scholars app, these are three really good websites that students and parents can go into and start looking at what scholarships, national scholarships are available. I do want to mention, with it being a national scholarship website, students are competing with students from all over the country. So I'm not saying don't apply for these, but again, you're competing with the entire country of seniors. So yeah, I mean, you totally could qualify and get a scholarship, but the chances are smaller compared to your local scholarships, because your local scholarships, you're competing with your classmates or with your community. So it's a much smaller applicant pool. I'll give you some examples of national scholarships. So any student who is a member of National Honor Society, I'm sure you're aware there's a scholarship for you guys. Any students who are going into a technical program, look into the Work Ethic Scholarship Program. If you guys are familiar with the show Dirty Jobs and Mike Rowe, this is the guy who sponsors this scholarship. It's called the Work Ethic Scholarship Program. The Coca-Cola Foundation Scholarship is also a really good one, and the Gates Millennium Scholars Program. All of these scholarships are available on ICANN's scholarship database. So I just pulled these out of our database just because they're pretty well known, but just know that they are listed on our website. As you're going through our list, you'll be able to find these scholarships, and you can click on the link and apply for them when they become available. All right, so some basic scholarship tips. I would tell students, apply to as many scholarships as possible. Okay, if students meet the criteria, apply. Small amounts add up. Sometimes I hear students make comments like, well, it's only $200 or it's only $500 scholarship. It's not a lot. Small amounts add up, and that's $200, that's $500 that you don't have to borrow in loans. So apply to as many scholarships as possible. And again, if you have that mentality of, well, it's really not that much money, more than likely other students have that mentality. So there's a better chance of you getting that scholarship, because some students are bypassing these smaller scholarships because they don't think it's worth their time. So apply. I would advise you that to save some time on applying for scholarships, create or put together your activities resume, or if you already have an activities resume, polish it up, clean it up. Scholarship applications generally ask you for the same information. So if you create a resume with a standard profile of yourself, I mean, you can literally put on the application, on the scholarship application, you can put "see attached," and save yourself a lot of time with answering those questions on the application form. You can save everything you do and you can reuse it. I'll give you an example of a activities resume, and we actually have this template available for you on our website. So here's where you can find this activities resume. It's an automatic download. It's a Word document. So if you download it, just take off Mallory Morgan's information and fill it in with your own info. And again, use it. Use it when you're applying for scholarships, because you're going to come to find out that scholarships are very repetitive. They ask you the same thing over and over and over again. And if you have everything in one place, in one document that is professional, that is easy to follow, that is clean, you're going to save yourself a lot of time and effort. And me, as a scholarship committee chair, when I see a student that submits an activities resume, to me, that stands out. So I look a little bit closer at those students that do submit an activities resume versus those that are writing really, really tiny to answer the questions on our scholarship application. The devil is in the details. All right. Preventable mistakes are detrimental to scholarship applicants. So pay close attention to the details. Don't do too much, but also do what you're requesting. So common mistakes is missing deadlines. Do not miss a deadline. Do not expect for a scholarship committee to consider you if you are turning in your application late. If you're providing incorrect information, don't lie in your application, of course, or you don't provide enough information. If a scholarship committee has to hunt you down to ask information that you didn't provide that was being asked, it's not a good look. So just make sure that you're answering everything and that you're answering it correctly and truthfully. And also providing too much information. Like if we're not asking you for letters of recommendation, don't submit it. If we're not asking you for your picture, don't submit it. Follow the directions. Again, not following directions because we're also kind of evaluating you and how well you're following those directions. So just make sure that you're aware of what's being asked of you, and hopefully that will get you some scholarship money. Be organized and be prepared. Keep a list of deadlines. All right. So again, like I mentioned earlier, a lot of scholarships are not available they're not available yet to file. Okay, maybe some national scholarships are available, but a lot of the local ones are not. So like when I said I'm going to update the ICANN scholarship database by this Friday, a lot of those scholarships are going to say date to be determined, but that doesn't mean that you're like, oh, I'll just come back later and check it out. At least make a list of what scholarships you would want to apply to when it becomes available. And also apply early. If you know already, like for example, the Farm Bureau scholarship, the deadline isn't until January 31st. Well, don't wait until January 29th to start that process. If you already know that the deadline is in January, start applying for that scholarship right now. Some information that you're going to need. Some scholarships might ask you for your high school transcript. Some might ask you for an activities resume. Some of them may ask for your ACT score. Some of them might just ask you to write your ACT score, but some of them might ask you for the actual like ACT review, like where you get your composite score. You're going to be asked for your GPA, probably, maybe your class rank. Some scholarships might ask you for letters of recommendation. And some scholarships might ask you for your family financial information. Some of them might ask you for information from the FAFSA. So when you submit your FAFSA application, when you are done with it, it's going to say, congratulations, your FAFSA submitted. This is your student aid index, your SAI. And there might be some scholarship committees that will ask you for this information. So when you submit your FAFSA, just make sure that you are saving that information or printing it, or that you know how to get back to this information, so that when it's being asked by the scholarship committee, that you know how to get it to them. So again, look at the scholarship criteria, and if you meet the criteria, apply for it. If not, don't waste your time. I'll give you an example with the scholarship that I'm a part of. So one of the criteria for our scholarship is that a student has to live within a 50-mile radius of our center of where we hold our events. And sometimes I have people who are applying from Illinois, or who live in Des Moines, and that's way outside the 50-mile radius. For scholarships like that, for me, I look at the address and I don't even open it. Because why? Because they don't qualify for it. So don't waste your time. Make sure that you are reading the criteria carefully, and if you don't apply, move on to the next one. Answer every question and follow the directions. If a question does not pertain to you, put NA, not applicable. because if you leave it blank, we're going to think that you forgot to answer that question. So don't leave anything blank. And again, like I said, make sure that you are following those directions. Please use a professional email, and please get in the habit of checking those emails. So whenever I talk to students, to high school seniors, I do advise them, please get into the habit of using your personal email account, your Gmail, your Yahoo, your iCloud. There's nothing wrong with your school email address, but I do know that there are some school districts that when you graduate, they're going to deactivate those email accounts and you'll no longer have access to that. So when you're applying for admissions to college, when you're applying for financial aid to college, when you're applying for scholarships for college, even internships or job shadows or jobs, just get in the habit of using your personal email account. And again, just make sure it's professional. If you're still using your email from when you set up your PlayStation when you were younger and it's kind of silly, just make sure that that it's professional and that it's not putting off the wrong vibes. Avoid misspelled words or improper punctuation, bad grammar, or slang. Don't use acronyms or abbreviations because we may not know what that means. So for example, National Honor Society, don't do NHS. I mean, I know what that means because you know, I work in education, so I know what that means, but someone maybe in the Kiwanis Club doesn't know, or they don't remember that it stands for National Honor Society. When you're writing with, don't do W/. When you're writing because, don't do BC. Again, type, if you're able to type the application, please type the application unless you're told otherwise. And if you are going to handwrite it, please write legibly. Please write with ink, blue or black ink. Ideally, you want to type it, and if you're going to type it, use professional font like Times New Roman or Arial, like the font you're seeing on the screen right now, that's Arial. Also, learn how to create an electronic signature. I am guilty that I did not know how to do this until this past week or so. I learned how to create an electronic signature. So when you are doing your application online, you can sign it professionally and it looks good. And keep in mind, you're writing a professional document, not a text to your friend or your mom or your dad. So just make sure that this entire process that you're keeping a professional mindset. I mentioned letters of recommendation a little bit ago. If a scholarship asks for letters of recommendation, ask people who know you well and can speak to your accomplishments and work ethic. A teacher would be a good one, your school counselor, your coach, your principal, community member, your pastor, your employer. These would be people that could potentially write you a really good letter of recommendation. Not family members, not your friends, not your relatives, because they're biased. You know, of course you're awesome, but when it comes from a family member or a friend or a relative, you know, they're being biased because you're amazing. So someone who knows you in a different way, like I said, a teacher, a school counselor, a principal, whomever you ask for letters of recommendation, please ask them in advance. Don't come to them on a Thursday saying, hey, I'm applying for this scholarship and it's due tomorrow. They're probably going to do it for you, but it's not going to be as good as if you would have given them at least 2 to 3 weeks notice to get it done. The more time you give them, the better quality the letter of recommendation is going to be. Give them the criteria of the scholarship. Let them know what the scholarship committee is asking for and give them your activities resume, because even though your AP bio teacher knows that you're an excellent student, you turn in your work on time, they may not know that as a freshman in high school, you volunteered for Habitat for Humanity, for example. So give them your activities resume so that it's going to help them write that letter of recommendation. So on the essay, for scholarship essays, if the scholarship has a prompt, there often is a prompt, read it carefully and make sure that you understand what it's asking. Think before you start writing, all right? Just mull it through, read the prompt, read the question, think it through, brainstorm ideas, and create an outline. So intro, body, and conclusion. If you can't come up with anything, come back to it later. Put it away for the weekend, come back to it on Monday morning and start looking at it again. Another thing that you can do is just start writing in a Word document. Start writing, and whatever comes up, it comes up. You know, you can always go back and edit and delete some of that information that you've typed in. With essays, sell yourself, but don't try to overly impress. All right, you can tell when we read your scholarship applications, we can sense what type of student is applying. So again, sell yourself, but don't be overly exaggerated with your things, but be honest as well. Show that you're well-rounded, present a positive attitude. If the prompt is asking you for challenges that you have faced, explain how you've overcome them and present an optimistic outcome. Like, don't be a Debbie Downer. Like, okay, yes, you have been through challenges that a lot of us maybe have never even thought of, and that's horrible. But how are you going to come out of this? So present an optimistic outcome to the scholarship committee. Talk about goals and how you plan to achieve them, and how the scholarship committee's money is going to help the student achieve that. Know your audience. Know the organization that you are applying for their money. I mean, again, the organization that I'm a part of, we have a website. You can easily go online and see, okay, what are they about? What is their mission? Who is their members? What do they do for the community? So know who the audience is before you start working on that application. Don't repeat information from your application or activities resume. This is actually a pet peeve of mine. All right, when students are writing their essay and they're telling me information that I've already read on the application or on their activities resume, if I wanted to know your GPA, I could easily look at your activities resume. Okay, and then your essay should sound like you, like the student, because trust me, we can tell when adults are writing the essays. So the essay should sound like that student. We should, in our mind, when we're reading those applications, it should sound like a 17-year, 18-year-old high school senior who's looking forward to their future. And also make a memorable ending and finish strong. Trust me, with again, I've been a part of this organization that I keep talking about for a few years, and I can count maybe 3 applications that the way they ended their essay, it stuck with me because it was powerful. And sure enough, these are students that are successful, and we knew they were going to be successful because of how well they thought their essay and wrote it. All right, final submission. Take a break before students make the final check. So again, maybe give it a few days, put it away, save it, and then come back to it the next day or the next few days and look at it with fresh eyes. Make sure everything that is being requested, you're including and it's completed. If you're going to do an online application, please make sure that all of attachments and uploads are there. Again, as a scholarship committee member, I don't want to be, hunting you down to, hey, you forgot to submit your, ACT score or whatever. If students are going to be mailing or hand delivering the application, use a large envelope. Again, I mean, this isn't a big deal, but it's just my preference. Just because when we're looking through applications, like it's a lot of them. So if they're all like really scrunched up in a tiny envelope, it kind of makes it hard to like manage. So, spend a little bit more money on the larger envelopes, so it's all flat. Mail before the deadline and make sure that you're getting a receipt, so that at any point, if the scholarship committee says, sorry, we received it after the deadline, you can show us the receipt and say, well, I put it in the post office before, so here's the receipt. If a student is awarded, keep track of how much you win. and what you win. All right. Know if it will come to you all at once, or if they're going to distribute it between first semester and second semester. And often the money is sent directly to the college. So once you commit to a college, the committee will forward that money on to that school. Keep track of who it will come from and when it's going, you expect to receive it. Make sure that you know if you need to turn anything in, and to who, to receive the scholarship. All right. So sometimes when a scholarship committee might say you're getting the scholarship, but we're going to need you to submit additional, a copy of your fall schedule, for example, once you go to orientation. Make note of the scholarships that are renewable so you can apply for them year after year, and send a thank you note to the scholarship committee. So these are just some things to keep in mind if you do eventually get awarded a scholarship. Just in general, this is just not just for scholarships, but for admissions as well. Students, just clean up your social media presence. Be aware of what type of how you're being portrayed online. So double check your social media settings, your privacy settings on Twitter, YouTube, Snapchat, TikTok. Don't do anything that you wouldn't want to see in the news or talk about in court. Just be aware of what's being put out there. Please set up your cell phone's voicemail. Sometimes we do need to contact you, and it's nice when we get to leave a voicemail and not hear the message, this voicemail is not set up, or this voicemail is full and you cannot leave a message. So just make sure that you are ready to answer those phone calls if someone is calling. And just, again, make smart choices when you're online. And last but not least, be aware of scams. They are out there, unfortunately. If you get any letters or emails or even phone calls where it says, this scholarship is guaranteed or your money back, there's no such thing as a guaranteed scholarship. A scholarship can always be revoked. You cannot get this information anywhere else. That's not true either, because all this information, you can get it from your school counselors, from your colleges, from the Iowa College Aid Commission, from organizations like ICANN. So just be very careful. Or sometimes they'll say, reserve your scholarship with your credit card number. Do not do that. If something seems suspicious, it probably is a scam. And I'll leave you with this. Again, our phone number, our email address if you want to send us an email. I do speak Spanish, so if anyone would need assistance in Spanish, I'm here to assist. And for information on the Iowa Farm Bureau Scholarship, this is their phone number. All right. I want to thank everyone for joining me tonight. This presentation is being recorded, so if you do want to share it, it will be available on our YouTube channel and also on our Facebook page. Thank you very much. Have a good night.